Hello, and welcome to week 3 of Black Girl Magic Book Chat, Halloween edition. My name is Larissa, the AARC coordinator, and all month long I am chatting about horror books, chatting about thriller books, all by Black authors as a way to highlight them and celebrate them in a genre that I think does not get as much hype as I've said before. So let's dive right on in. This week's book, I want to show it to you. I read Ring Shout by Djèlí Clark. Djèlí. There is an alternate title, which is Hunting Ku Kluxes in the End of Times. So I'll show you real quick. Even in the book, it says Ring Shout or Hunting Ku Kluxes in the End of Times. And if the name, the book photo, if that doesn't tell you what a wild ride this was, let me tell you what a wild ride this was. This book blends, I think, horror and magical realism in a way that was fascinating. And as you can see, this is not a very big book, right? It's, for all intents and purposes, it could probably be considered a novella. It's like 200 pages, but it packed a punch, y'all. So our book follows Marcy. I think that's how you pronounce her name. MarYse is the way that it's spelled, but it follows her. She's somewhere in her 20s, living in Macon, Georgia. Macon is actually like an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes away from where I grew up, so I know Macon well. And it's the year 1922. Also, sidebar, shout out to Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, founded in 1922. Okay, back. So the book opens with Marcy and her friends, Sadie and Chef, preparing to do what they do best, hunt and kill Ku Kluxes. But these Ku Kluxes are different from the clan, from the human men of the clan that we know. No. These Ku Kluxes are inhuman. They are monsters, right? So this book is about, what if the Ku Klux Klan were monsters? Literal monsters. So they are described as being like really like 9 feet tall with multiple eyes, 6 eyes, fingers like claws, and teeth that can rip into your flesh. Yes, they are literal monsters. And how do they become so? Hate. They feed off hate. Marcy tells us about the 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation. If you do not know what that film is, please go look it up. 1915, The Birth of a Nation. And how it reinvigorated the white supremacist movement and thus the Klan. Now, this is the way that she describes it in the book, but this is true in real life. William Joseph Simmons, who is the man who actually founded the second iteration of the Ku Klux Klan, and is mentioned in this book, she describes him as a witch of some sort. And through this film, The Birth of a Nation, completes a sort of ritual that ushers in this new faction, these monsters. So in the way in this book, you have these two factions. You have the Klan, which are your human white males, and then you have the Ku Kluxes, which are what happens when these human white males become something more, driven by their hate. At the beginning of this book, we hear about the re-release of The Birth of a Nation. Again, a real thing. And it's set to release in Stone Mountain, Georgia, in northern Georgia, which actually happened. And Marcy and her crew are in it, right? They are preparing for what this re-release will do to the people, the power that will be unleashed, the terror that will be unleashed. Marcy and Chef and Sadie and, other people who are working with them, Their job is to really just kill Ku Kluxes. They travel around killing these beings. And when they kill, so at the beginning of the book, we see them set up to trap and then kill a group of Ku Kluxes. And they do. It's fun and I don't know if fun is actually the right word, but the way that it's described, it is, it's action, right? So that happens and they manage to kill and even take parts of it back to a woman called Nana Jean, who's a Gullah woman. Look up Gullah if you've never heard of the people in the Low Country, the Gullah people. So this woman wants to find out how it lives, how it's made. So they take pieces of this Ku Klux back to learn how to defeat them for good. And so, like I said, Marcy and her crew, Sadie and Chef, and others who support them have been hunting these Ku Kluxes for a while and are great at it. Especially Marcy and her supernaturally powered sword that she carries. And so at the beginning, we kind of learn some of the history of how they get into this, okay? And then enter Butcher Clyde, a horror of a character. I was reading, like I said, I always will read other things that people, like reviews that other people say, because I like to know what people think about the things that I read too. And there was this one woman who, did a whole analysis of it, and she called Butcher Clyde her new sleep paralysis demon, the thing, that she sees when she is scared at night, because it is described as a big man, like a big hefty man, whose body is covered in mouths and teeth. Let that image sit with you for a second, because it sat with me for a second. And what's interesting, though, about Butcher Clyde is Butcher Clyde also feeds on hate, like all of the other Ku Kluxes. But his has no source. Or what I mean is the Ku Kluxes tend to go after Black folks, right? The Klan goes after Black folks. But these Ku Kluxes, especially ones like Butcher Clyde, hate is all that matters, no matter where it comes from. And he wants Marcy, who we later find out has her own interactions with the Klan. Her family does. He wants her to be on their side, the side of the Ku Kluxes. Things come to a tipping point when Butcher Clyde and his associates burn down this juke joint / hotel that's a staple for Marcy's community, taking hostages. And the ultimate battle ensues after this. This book is only about 200 pages, but it brought so much depth in those few pages. Here's some of my highlights. In this book, we see the inclusion of African American and some African folklore. Marcy talks about haints, which are these spirits, right? She also mentions Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox, those tales. Those are tales that she kind of keeps in her pocket. It's something that her brother loved to read to her. And so as we go throughout this book, she'll talk about Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit and compare the habits of the rabbit and the fox to the people that she knows and sees. We get the inclusion of a world where the ancestors speak to the main characters in some ways. We even get scenes of night doctors. And I didn't know what night doctors were until I read this and then looked it up. And night doctors were figures in almost like these nightmaric figures in African American old folklore and stories, where these people, they were night doctors and they would come and steal Black bodies to study. And so we see scenes where Marcy goes into this place hoping for support to help get rid of the Ku Kluxes and finds these night doctors. Fascinating. There are multiple mentions of Tulsa And as I was reading, I was like, this is, whenever you read something that mentions places that there is, I don't know what it does. And that's why it's so important, right? To read books that mirror your experience, because when you see that, you're more into it, right? So there's multiple mentions of Tulsa. They talk about Drusilla Houston, who was a historian and teacher who lived in Oklahoma City at one point, in McAllister at one point, in Sapulpa at one point. And her brother started the Black Dispatch, Dungy Houston, Roscoe Dungy. And I know she worked on that newspaper as well. So she was a teacher and a historian. She's mentioned the 1921 race massacre was talked about as a product of these Ku Kluxes. It was fascinating the way that he blended history, real life history, with these monsters. And I think one of the main points of this book, the question that came out of this book is, especially in early 1900s, is Black hate the same as white hate? And kind of the main question that Marcy is asked to think about in regards to this kind of white hate versus Black hate thing, what if Black people were given the same power that the white people in this time had taken for themselves? What would she do with that power if offered? Would she take it? And if she took it, what would she do with it? It was a ride, y'all. And it's one of these books that, like, I can't really explain to you plot point by plot point by plot point, because that's not the way he wrote it. And, like, yes, the plot point is they kill these Ku Kluxes in the beginning. Butcher Clyde comes and is like, I'm about to get y'all, but I want Marcy, I want you on my side. And then they have to figure out how to fight this entity, right? That's the plot. But in it, there's so much history, there's so much folklore, there's so much meat. I'm telling y'all, if you are a person who, likes a little horror, likes your horror intelligent, this is the book for you. And it's short, and it reads quickly as well. It was a ride. I am returning this copy as soon as I hit stop on this recording. So go pick it up. I know we also offer it on Libby. So if you are a e-reader person, it is available there as well. It may even be available as an audiobook, but I'm not sure. Ooh, I bet listening to it could be fun too. Next week, I am reading a book called Listen to Your Sister by Nina Weil. I like the title because as a big sister, listen to your sister. I can't wait to share it with you. So until next week.